Hello, I said there would be no video later today, and I guess I lied because I've been inspired. I've been inspired by your community suggestions on my Valheim Iron Sword video. It's been a lot of them, and they've not just inspired this video, but there's two other videos coming about various comments that you guys have left, and it's super exciting. It's got me back into really thinking about Valheim a lot. I've been having certain theory on my mind because I got my co-op run coming up soon. My friend's got his PC up and running. He's just got to get headphones and mic situation set up. But responses to the Iron Sword, yeah, really cool. Important thing to note: Iron Gate really wants me to make meaningful decisions. That means mechanical, and not just off of the vibes or your personal opinion or play style or what have you. They want you to make meaningful decisions. If we took into account everybody's unique personal tastes into like the actual game balance, it would be impossible to get anything done because everybody's got different tastes. So we want to be somewhat objective about it, and they want to have you make meaningful mechanical decisions about planning, crafting, upgrading, you name it. So here are the suggestions. I'm going to rank them based off of, well, I'm not going to rank them, but I'll just say if I think they were pretty good, like if I think that they're pretty good, and then also do I think that Iron Gate will be likely to implement them. Two different things there. Okay. First suggestion that I want to talk about is bump base damage to 6570. This is base damage. Even if we upgrade this all the way to quality 4 and we assume base damage 70, that means that the maximum damage it would have would be 88 slash, and this would be still not as good as the Silver Sword, which is kind of painful. Yeah, it's just still not as good as Silver Sword, and I would still be just going and making the Silver Sword and skipping the Iron Sword. So I don't think that it's terribly interesting. Also, like I'd much rather have a special sword. I'd much prefer my fire sword idea, and a lot of people have really cool ideas. It's just base damage is, you know, it's not terribly interesting. Yeah, I mean, you get to stagger enemies more often, and it's more convenient. But again, it is still outclassed by Silver Sword in every way. You know, it's like, oh well, you know, stamina cost is technically less than Silver Sword, so the damage to stamina ratio is fine. But I mean, you should have plenty of stamina to deal with your enemies regardless, so it's fine. Never had any stamina issues with Silver Sword, and even then, like, if I willingly put myself in a situation where I'm just using stamina to shred through all my enemies like Silver Sword Sentinel Shack, I have a potion, so yeah, no issues there. I don't really think this is going to be implemented. I don't think Iron Gate is willing to change up one of the weapons in terms of damage. I know that axes are technically different, but they're different consistently throughout the tiers than your standard one-handers like spears, swords, clubs. They all have the same relative damage, and then polearms are 10 damage higher than those three. Axes are 2 more damage than those 3. Everything's consistent tier to tier until Mistlands, and Mistlands is all different, so yeah. I really don't think Iron Gate would implement the increase of base damage of one weapon. Yeah, not very interesting there. Poison Sword, oh boy. Poison has a variety of problems. It doesn't stack hit to hit. Certain aspects of poison will stack on one hit. So if you have a Draugr Fang, which has poison, and a Poison Arrow, which of course also has poison, they will group up to make one giant tick, but hit to hit they won't stack. So if you have a weapon that swings pretty quickly and it has poison on it, you're going to lose out on a ton of that DOT going swing to swing. And of course, because poison doesn't account for staggering, that means that you're going to be missing out on a lot of your sword staggerings, and just a lot of your kills are going to be very painful. But poison, considering how it functions right now, it's actually best on something like a knife if you want to sneak up, get that modifier, and then you can like swap to something else. It's good on crossbow right now because of its slow loading times. It's good on a sledge because of its slow bonks and that big AoE you can be from a relatively safe spot. Yeah, it's good on all of those. It's not too good on something fast, unless it has some sort of large burst damage like the knife does. In which case it's suffering with its normal moveset, but it's excelling on its secondary. Except for staggering, of course. Yeah, kind of not the best there. But again, it's an element to exploit, so Poison Knife could work. Poison Sword wouldn't really work. Are they going to implement Poison Sword? Yes. Yeah, we already know this. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. Poison Sword. Poison Sword is on its way. We shall see. Again, with socketable options, gem sockets, they're coming. Socketable options, they're coming. Minor Ashlands spoilers. Let's get to it. Boom. Needhog, Slayer. Check it. Check it. Beautiful, right? Gems. We've got lightning, fire, and maybe smoke there, and then poison. And then the accompanying gems. Yeah, we have our poison sword, our lightning sword, and our fire sword on the way. And we get to choose between them. It seems like in the Ashlands, this fire sword is not going to be very good. The poison one, of course, poison sword is just kind of sad the way poison works right now. I really hope it gets changed, and then I would be all in favor of an early poison sword, even if we're getting a later one. And a lightning sword. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine with having earlier versions of any of these, including the lightning sword, but yeah, lightning seems like it's going to be the best one. I really like it because I really like this light blue. Blue lightning is really nice. Of course, most of lightning in Valheim is blue, but pink lightning and Mistlands lightning, that would be sick too. Like, that would be a really cool variant. Like, maybe get a really rare pink lightning gem. Oh my god, that would be sick. Imagine that. But anyway, ignore these two things. Not relevant right now. But yeah, I think an earlier relevant, or an early, any of these elements, swords would be nice. Of course, fire and lightning are going to be better than your poison, unfortunately. But yeah, lightning is the best. 1.5 times lightning damage on wet targets, that is wet up to their waist and not being rained on. So anything that's being kited through a river, you'll know by the dripping effect on them that they're wet. They will take 1.5 times lightning damage, and of course lightning is calculated in stagger. It's the only element to do so. So it's very good for getting those staggering DPS, just absolutely stagger locking them. Probably with the normal sword move set, because ever since Mistlands update, swords, one-handed swords, not two-handed for some reason, one-handed swords no longer have multi-hit penalty. Yeah, so they can cleave through everything, and their hitbox was increased vertically on their normal moveset, so they shred right through leeches, and they can hit enemies that are a little bit further below you than you'd think, which is nice, because if they're into water, they're probably a little bit lower than you, which means this lightning sword, this lightning Needhog, is going to be pretty damn good. And a lightning sword in the swamp edge, when things are, well, below you in the water, that would also be pretty great. So let's move back here. Lightning sword is my variant. I think that's very cool. Poison sword. So poison sword is coming in the Ashlands, but I don't know if they'd make it for the swamp age. I can see them doing it just because the swamp is very poisonous, and you can totally get a poison sword. Poison sword, the way that poison functions right now is just not very good, so not the best. Lightning sword is a little bit better. This is just a variant that I mentioned in the comments. Socketable options, again, these are coming. I would prefer them earlier. I love socket mechanics, so gem sockets. I've played them with Champions of Norath, Champions Return to Arms, New World, Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles, Echoes of Time. That game has like upwards of 3 gems that you can put on a single thing. It's quite a bit. Dark Cloud has gem sockets too, or just gem upgrades. That's just a lot of fun, really cool. Upgrading beyond quality 4 to meet other tiers. This could work, you know? It's basically like, okay, well, you spend more iron, and then you can upgrade this to the silver point, and then you can just choose whichever weapon that you'd like. And then there's just not just this iron sword, but also other gear too. And I think that would be really good if there was more balance on heavy armor pieces. So if heavy armor pieces has secondary benefits like the wolf chest, and you had like a heavy chest with fire res, or like maybe a heavy leggings with lightning res, then they would be much more worth using. And, you know, people wouldn't just be running around with like full Fenris with like 78 armor or some nonsense. Once you give higher incentives to wear the heavy metal pieces that aren't like a helmet, for instance, now we're talking. Now we can get gear upgrades beyond the normal quality 4, We can get like quality 6, quality 8, depending on the tier, and of course there would probably be very unique workbench or forge upgrades or both to get to this point. I think that would be cool. Do I think it'll be implemented? I don't know. It could be. Do I like it? I do. It just needs some balancing quirks around the edges. And once that would be implemented, there would be a lot more meaningful decisions. Very nice. And so I think that's really cool. So these aren't the only suggestions that I got. I got one more like that I really, really want to talk about. It's really interesting, but that has to do with a lot of upgrading as well. So I want to make that its own video and talk about it, and just talk about stagger thresholds and upgrade values and the percentages there. It's a lot of number crunching, which is painful, but really cool and really important. So thank you guys so much for interacting. I don't really have a favorite option. I think socket is just so sick. I love that right now. This is also really cool if you had the balancing, so both of these just really sick. I love that. Oh, there was also, hang on, one more idea I actually haven't put in, which is, I think the comment was like upgrade the iron sword, like buff it in some way, which like it's very non-specific, but the second part of the comment was super cool, which was add Crom variant. It was add Swamp Age. Basically two-handed sword. And yeah, absolutely, two-handed sword, Swamp Age. No doubt. I would love that. That would be really, really nice. Absolutely nice. Like, I would bring that into Frost Caves, no doubt. It would be that, because of just the strength of that middle mouse, just one-shotting cultists and such. Yeah, it would be like that, the Iron Axe gear, Iron Sledge in the Frost Caves. That would be sick. Of course, this also versus A-bombs. And yeah, I think that would be cool. Of course, you would have to implement a... Well, you wouldn't have to, but like balance-wise, I would really also love a mountain tier two-handed sword. I think that would be super cool. And it would have to be some sort of unique thing. Or the swamp version would be unique. Although personally, I think the swamp version of this would be regular and just iron. And maybe the mountain one would be special in some regard. I don't know. Some maybe fire. Maybe fire because of the cultists? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe crystal and frost? That would be cool. Don't know. Anyway, yeah, I really like this idea. This one, I really like this one. I like this one if you balance out the heavy armor pieces. Sockets, I've had so much nostalgia with this one. I love it. Of course, my own idea is lightning and fire swords are great. Yeah, those are my favorite options there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with some math.